You know that old phrase that curiosity killed the cat? I think I'm about to find out if it actually did. For the last week, I've been witnessing something that I can't explain, and I have to know why. The first time this happened, I was with a friend. We were taking a quick walk to the store, talking about a movie that we planned to watch after we got back to the house with drinks. When he stopped walking, I turned and looked back at him to see him blankly staring outward, muttering something under his breath. "Did you forget something at the house?" I asked. He didn't answer. He didn't even seem to notice me. I noticed that he was simply staring upward into the distance in front of him and panicked. Thinking that something was wrong with my friend and that I needed to snap him out of it, I pulled my hand back and slapped him hard. "Oh, what the fuck?" He jumped back, stroking his cheek. I put my hands on his shoulder and looked him in the eye, demanding that he proves he's okay. I'm lucky that he's more level-headed than I am, where I would freak out and try to literally slap some sense into someone. He was able to keep calm enough to immediately see that something was wrong with me panicking like that. I explained what happened and he apologized for the scare, saying that he never had something like that happen. We got back to the plans we had for the evening, but only after I made him promise to see a doctor. The second time this happened was at the bus stop when I was heading out for work. I was chatting with a wonderful lady about her seeing eye dog as the bus pulled up to our stop and the door opened. I stepped on after the lady and her dog and greeted the bus operator with whom I had always been friendly. "Crazy day, huh? It looks like you got here right before the rain started coming down." His silence stood out to me as I shuffled through my pocket for my fare. I mistook it as him simply waiting for me to pay until I looked up at him with my bus fare in hand. His sudden change in expression made me stop and analyze further. He stared past me, caught in a mindless dead stare while whispering something too quietly for me to make out the words. Remembering my friend doing the same, I immediately questioned what the hell these two had seen. As I turned to look, I saw every single passenger caught up in the same stupor. There was only the dog and I who hadn't been caught up in whatever this was. The sight and its bizarre nature ran a cold chill up my spine. Again, I started to look to see what it was that kept catching the people around me in this hypnotic state. But when I tried to turn, something stopped me. It was this nagging feeling at the back of my mind that told me that I was in danger. It was comparable to the feeling of being watched, or realizing that you're smack in the middle of the wrong part of town when you're alone at night. It was the inexplicable and undeniable knowledge that I was just within reach of my certain doom. The feeling would spike up in intensity every time I began to look. At the back of the bus, the lady stood next to her seat where she had stopped just before sitting down. Her dog barked at her and tugged at her dress, trying to get her attention. She yowled out in pain when the dog bit the tip of her finger hard. Fortunately, she yelled loudly enough to pull the others back to attention as well. The driver looked at the back through his mirror to see what all the noise was about, while I tried to calm the lady down, explaining that she spaced out and seemed to scare the dog into a panic. We took off and I looked at my phone thinking that I would certainly be late for work after that. During that whole occurrence, not a single minute had passed. Over the next few days, I was working at half capacity as my mind was stuck on the two incidents. I contemplated the fact that it keeps happening to people around me and that I never hear anyone else talking about it. No one has mentioned seeing groups of people uncontrollably staring off into the distance, whispering at nothing. To see that time isn't passing in those moments explains that away quite easily. But then, why am I the only one who seems to escape it? If time wasn't passing, how was the dog unaffected as well? Why does it not affect objects like falling leaves? The people who get caught up in it just stare and mutter apparent gibberish, and somehow I'm left to observe them every time. It happened one more time and I got too curious for my own good. It happened downtown at a parade, when one of the cars stopped and the actors sitting atop the float stopped waving to the crowd and just stared forward. A few people looked to see what he saw and they started staring too. Within just under 10 seconds, everyone had their sights set down the street staring and whispering. I thought to wait it out, but the moment never passed. I don't expect writing this out to do anything about the situation, but I feel a need to put it out there somewhere. I need it to have been told to someone else, because I don't know how this is going to end. I know what I need to do next, but I don't know what it'll mean for me. I'm going to look at what they're seeing. I'll know whatever that means for me and what it's meant for all of these other people soon enough.